The moment you try to convince someone, your throat gets a little tight, your voice gets a little faster, and you can feel your own need leaking into the room. You say something reasonable, and it still lands wrong. They lean back, their eyes go slightly flat, and you can tell you just triggered the part of them that hates being pushed. If you have ever walked away thinking, I was right, why did that go so badly? I get it. Most people are not losing because their idea is weak. They are losing because their energy is asking for permission. Persuasion is not a trick. It is not pressure. It is the art of helping someone feel safe enough to move. People do not resist your logic as much as they resist the feeling that they are about to be controlled, judged, or trapped. When someone digs in, it usually means one of three fears just lit up inside them. They fear looking stupid, they fear losing freedom, or they fear being blamed later. If I can lower those fears, people stop fighting and start thinking. I learned this the hard way in a conference room that smelled like burnt coffee and dry erase markers. I had spent all night making a clean plan. The numbers made sense. The timeline was fair. I walked in ready to deliver it like a verdict. Halfway through, I saw one person frowning, another checking their phone, and a third person smiling in that polite way people smile when they are already saying no inside. My chest got hot. I talked more. I explained harder. I watched them retreat in real time. It felt like trying to push a shopping cart with a stuck wheel. The more force I used, the more obvious the stuck wheel became. Afterwards, someone I respected pulled me aside. They did not tell me my plan was bad. They said my plan sounded like it was already decided, and everyone else was just there to be informed. That was the moment it clicked. People do not want to be managed like objects. They want to be included like adults. Now, when I want to persuade, I start by slowing down my body. Not in a dramatic way, just enough that my shoulders drop and my face softens, because your nervous system speaks first. Before your words even arrive, people feel whether you are calm or needy. If I am leaning forward too much, talking too fast, filling every silence, I am telling them I cannot handle a no. And if I cannot handle a no, they have to protect themselves. There is a tiny move that changes everything. I make room for their autonomy. I let it be true that they can choose. I might say it in my own head first. They do not owe me agreement. When that becomes real inside me, my tone changes. I stop sounding like a salesperson and start sounding like a partner. You can feel the difference in everyday moments. Think about asking a friend to come to something with you. If you are secretly afraid they will say no, you start stacking reasons. You start performing. You start trying to pre-solve their objections. It comes out as pressure. They sense the hook. They pull away. But if you are steady, you can offer the invite and let it breathe. The space is not weakness. The space is respect. The next part is understanding what people think you are doing. Not what you intend, what they assume. Most people walk around with a quiet defense system. They have been cornered before. They have been guilted before. They have been sold to before. So when you make a request, their brain asks, what is this going to cost me? Time, status, energy, money, peace. If you ignore that question, they answer it themselves, and they usually answer it in the most self-protective way. So I name the cost before it becomes a ghost. Not with a speech, with a simple acknowledgement. This might be extra work this week. This might feel awkward. This might be a risk. When I do that, I am not weakening my case. I am proving I see their reality. People relax when they feel seen. They stop scanning for the catch. There is also the status layer. Persuasion fails when someone feels like agreeing would lower them. If your idea is framed like a correction, they hear, you were wrong, even if you never say that. So I stop trying to win and I start trying to preserve dignity. I look for a way to connect my idea to something they already value, not in a fake compliment way, in a truthful way. I remember talking with a manager who always shut down new suggestions. My old approach would have been to prove him wrong. I would have brought examples, comparisons, and a sharp tone that said, "You are behind." He would have fought me just to protect his identity. Instead, I approached it like this. I held the same idea, but I carried it differently. I treated his caution as a strength, not a flaw. In my mind, I told myself, he is trying to avoid chaos. He is trying to keep the team safe. When I spoke, I sounded like someone who understood that. Suddenly, he was not defending against me. He was thinking with me. People also need to know where you stand. Calm confidence is persuasive because it signals stability, not dominance. Stability. If I sound unsure, people assume there's danger I am not naming. If I sound aggressive, people assume I am hiding something. The sweet spot is grounded certainty with flexible edges. I know what I want. I can handle questions. I can handle a no. That combination is rare, and it is magnetic. One of the most persuasive things you can do is to ask a question that helps someone persuade themselves. Not a trap question, a real one. People trust their own conclusions more than your conclusions. If I want a coworker to support a change, I might explore what is already frustrating them. What keeps breaking? What keeps wasting time? When they name the pain, the change stops being my request. It becomes their relief. This works in relationships too, especially when emotions are involved. If you try to persuade your partner while they feel unseen, you are talking to a locked door. They are not evaluating your points. They are evaluating whether you care. I have watched people lose a simple conversation because they rushed past the human part. They tried to solve the problem while the other person was still trying to feel safe. So I slow down and reflect what I see. Not therapy talk, just reality. You seem tired. This feels like a lot. I can tell you are worried about how this will look. When I do that, I am not surrendering my needs. I am creating a bridge. Once a person feels met, they can hear you. Another place persuasion breaks is when we argue the wrong thing. We argue the surface reason, but the real reason is underneath. A friend says they cannot make it, but the real issue is they feel awkward around the group. A teammate says the plan is too risky, but the real issue is they do not want to be the one blamed if it fails. A stranger says no thanks, but the real issue is they do not want to be trapped in a conversation. If you keep pushing the surface, you miss the real door. I try to listen for the hidden sentence. The sentence they are not saying out loud because it would make them vulnerable. If I can respond to that sentence, I become persuasive without forcing anything. I might reassure the fear of blame by taking responsibility for the outcome. I might reassure the fear of awkwardness by offering a smaller step. I might reassure the fear of being trapped by giving them an easy exit. Giving someone an easy exit is one of the most underrated persuasion tools. When people know they can leave, they relax. When they relax, they consider. This is true in sales, friendships, dating, and leadership. It is also true in conflict. If you want someone to open up, you cannot make them feel cornered. You have to let them keep their pride. Body language matters here more than people admit. If I want to persuade, I do not loom. I do not angle my body like a barrier. I keep my hands visible. I keep my voice low. I let pauses happen. I do not chase their eyes when they look away. I let them think. That patience signals, I am not here to dominate you. I am here to understand you and move forward. There is a moment in many conversations where the other person tests you. They push back a little, they question your motive, they say it will not work. Most people take that personally and start defending. That is where persuasion dies, because defense sounds like insecurity. Instead, I treat pushback like information. If they object, it means they are engaged. It means they care enough to protect something. My job is to find out what. I stay curious, not performative curiosity, real curiosity. What part feels off to you? What would make this easier? What are you trying to avoid? When I ask that with a steady tone, people often reveal the real barrier. And once the real barrier is on the table, persuasion becomes collaboration. Sometimes the real barrier is not practical. It is emotional. They might feel left out. They might feel disrespected. They might feel like you are changing the rules on them. If you ignore that, they will sabotage the plan quietly. They will nod and then do nothing. Persuasion is not getting a yes in the moment. It is getting real buy-in when you are not in the room. That is why I pay attention to how I make people feel while I am making my case. Do they feel smarter or smaller? Do they feel safer or watched? Do they feel included or managed? People follow the feeling. Later, they will invent reasons to justify it. There is also timing. If someone is stressed, hungry, embarrassed, or rushed, you can have the perfect words and still fail. Their brain is not in a place to choose. It is in a place to survive. I have learned to pause the pitch and attend to the moment. I might say, this is not the best time. We can come back to it. That alone can increase trust because it proves I'm not trying to extract agreement. I am trying to build something that lasts. A lot of persuasion comes down to clean intention. People can sense when you are hiding the ball. If you want something, own it. If you benefit, admit it. If you are uncertain, say so. Honesty is persuasive because it reduces the need for them to protect themselves. They stop scanning for manipulation. And when you do make your ask, make it simple. The more words you use, the more you reveal tension. The more tension you reveal, the more they resist. I aim for a clean request that respects their choice. Then I get quiet. Silence is not empty.